Hello everyone, we are back, and in this video I want to try something a little bit different compared to the usual videos. In particular, talking about some of the things I've been working on for the past few weeks. Hopefully this video will be entertaining, but also helpful and will teach you something new. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. So in the past few months, the things I've been working on the most in my free time is Espanso. For those of you that don't know Espanso, it is basically a tool that allows you to create textual shortcuts that work in any program. All the infos are on the website if you are curious. So the project started in August 2019. It started as a way for me to learn a little bit of Rust, which at the time seemed like a very promising language. So I started developing Espanso, and over time it gained some traction. So I kept adding features, fixing bugs, and so at the end of last year I realized that the code base is not very maintainable. So it became really difficult to add new features and to fix some long-standing bugs. So what I did was basically starting a refactor. So if the code base is a great mess, then you start from scratch. And the reason why the code base was not that good is that firstly, I did not know the language when I started. So some of the core aspects of Espanso weren't really as ideal or as idiomatic as I could. The second thing was that I did not know all the requirements that Espanso would have in the future. Again, some of the core decisions I made turned out to be not very good. So it was finally time to refactor the whole code base. So I started, I think, in January to rewrite Espanso from scratch. I got a lot of inspiration from the Clean Architecture book, which I've read roughly in the same period. And if you haven't already, I highly recommend to read it because it's very easy to follow along and it gives you a lot of instruments to create very maintainable and clean, elegant software. So following some of those principles, which by the way I will try to cover in another video in the future, I designed the new Espanso to be very modular and with a very loose coupling between components. So the new project is basically set up as a bunch of modules, each one serving a specific purpose, and then one core module that basically glues them all together. I think I'm pretty far in the rewrite, about 70%. So I think that in a couple of months I'll be able to release an alpha version, which is again very exciting to me. It's the result of multiple months of work, which is really good. And another thing I discovered this year is the incredible effectiveness of going for a walk multiple times per day. So because I work in front of a computer and also most of my hobbies are in front of a computer, it's not unusual for me to stare at the screen for like 12 hours per day, which is a lot, okay? So what I noticed is that if I go for a walk on lunch and then before dinner, my brain is incredibly active and also my mood is much more positive and energetic than if I wouldn't. On one end, I invest 1 hour each day in this physical exercise, but what I notice is that after 8 hours of work, if I do those walks, I'm not tired at all, at least not every day, okay? I do have some spare energies to dedicate to some projects or things I want to work on, which wasn't always the case when I did not walk. So really a very effective way to recharge your brain. Another thing that changed this week is that I bought a new Macbook Air. And to me that was quite an investment because I could never afford one, but I always wanted it. So now that I work full-time, I was able to save enough money to buy the base model with the new M1 processor. I bought it for mainly two reasons. The first one is that I'm finally able to develop for Espanso on macOS without resorting in a hackish way of doing so. So for the past year and a half, I've developed a software that was running also on the Mac without owning a Mac. And that comes with a lot of challenges. Now I'm finally able to do so without all those headaches. And the second reason is that I have some projects I want to work on. Those are mobile apps. Those are just ideas for now, but I'll make sure to talk about them later if they turned out to be real. So of course, the first thing I did once I got the Mac was trying to compile Espanso, and of course I did not run the first time. In particular, Modulo, which is the component inside Espanso that provides some of the graphical elements, did not compile, and it turned out to be due to two issues. The first one was that I explicitly set the architecture of WX widgets, which is a library in C++ that is needed to create those interfaces. I explicitly set it on x86 architecture, and of course now we are using an ARM 64, so that didn't work. And then there was a caching problem with Cargo, which is the Rust package manager. So by just flushing the cache and removing the explicit architecture flag, I was able to finally compile it, and Espanso was running, which was a really good news. I really hope to be able to step up the quality of Espanso on macOS in the upcoming months. So a lot of people talk about the speed of these laptops. What I can say is that Espanso compiles faster in this entry-level MacBook Air than my desktop PC. Now, I'm not saying that I have a super fast and powerful desktop PC, but these MacBooks are really, really fast. Then there is another thing I've been working on since the start of this year, which is absolutely not related to technology, and it is my flexibility. So I was one of those people that was never able to touch my toes when doing stretching, right? And I decided that being 24, I couldn't go on like that, okay? I needed to do something. So I've tried to use a tip I've learned online, which is set a very small and reasonable goal, but do it every day. So in my case, it was 5 minutes of stretching every day. Which is really not a lot at all. But because stretching is so inconvenient and often painful, so you never really want to do stretching. But by just focusing on having 5 minutes per day, I was able to do it for multiple months now, and I was finally able to touch my toes, which again, for me, it is a big achievement. I'm also trying to improve my English writing skills, and for that reason I'm reading Style, the Basics of Clarity and Grace. I'm only about a third in the book, but I really like it so far, and it is basically a collection of rules you can use to step up your English writing level. And I think it is very effective, and I really care about my writing skills, because if you work in the tech industry and you want to, for example, write technical articles or blog posts, then having a good written form can really make a difference in stepping up your quality of your posts. So yeah, with that being said, I really hope you liked these kind of videos. If you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribe. And yeah, with that being said, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.